Oh, there we
There
go.
we go.
We
I think
should be
we're live.
live now. I believe we are. Hello, everyone, and welcome, everyone. Well,
Hey,
good morning.
Gary.
I see the numbers still going up, so that's cool. So we'll start introductions. My name is Philip. I am on the support team here at inFlow. I've probably talked with many of you if you have been a customer for a while. I'm usually on chats, and I deal with a lot of the more technical things. So when things break down and stuff, I am usually there to try and help. I'm joined by our lovely co-host Katya here.
Hey,
Who is,
guys.
if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, obviously, as Phil mentioned, my name is Katya. I am one of the CSMs, so Customer Success Managers here at inFlow, which is fun to say because that's kind of a new change that we've had recently. We changed from having the onboarding team to now the CSMs, so doing a lot more proactive reach outs and just talking to more people, which has been great. I've probably talked to a lot of you guys as well, so it's lovely to see you in the webinar. And then we
Yeah.
have James as well. So if you want to do
Yes.
the introduction, Phil, as well
Y-
for James.
Sure. Or if James
Uh,
wants to talk, sometimes
Same.
he's just
sure,
Yeah.
yeah,
sometimes
thank
he's just a
you.
typer, sometimes he's a talker.
Yeah, my name is James. I'm part of the customer support team, and I'm just here to just help with the chats and moderate chats for Phil and Katya, and they'll be the main carries of today's show. So
Cool. Well,
thank you
thank you
guys
for
again.
that.
Thank you, James.
um, Today's topic, as you can see and would have seen in the emails and everything, we're going to be talking about stock transfers. This is not a new feature to inFlow, but it is something that we find is very important and a vital part of the system and a lot of people's day-to-day business. One of the things that we do kind of want to point out in this webinar today is actually that we've improved our web and mobile stock transfers, because for quite a while you could either not do it on either the mobile or the web, and you could only do it on our Windows program, or then it had limited functionality, and now it's actually kind of almost in a way has a bit more functionality than the desktop version kind of thing. So we're gonna kind of go over the very basics of it. So just a brief overview. Today's topics: stock transfers. What are they? Why would you want to use them? And just a couple things to keep in mind when you're using them. Also, I know, at least for me, when I think of stock transfers, reordering is not something that immediately comes to mind, but there is actually a cool thing that you can do with that. And then we can demo it, so I can show both the Windows desktop version of it, the web app in any browser, or our mobile app as well. So, yeah. So stock transfers, what are they? Stock transfers are actually just meant to be an easy way to move inventory from one location to another. This seems pretty self-explanatory, and there are actually kind of a few ways that you can do this in the program. I know I've seen a lot of people just adjust stock levels, but stock transfers actually kind of give you a few extra features which can make things a little easier. So it would actually update the product status from like reserved or in stock or quantity available, anything like that, to an in transit status. This way, it's actually taken out of your inventory. You can see how many are in transit at any point, and that kind of gives you an extra way of, I guess, like categorizing your inventory, so that when it is maybe like on a truck or on a plane or on a boat, depending how far you have to send it or anything like that, that your staff isn't hopefully trying to sell it or looking for it in the warehouse or something like that at that point. You can also have separate send dates and receive dates, so you can have better tracking on this. So you can tell like how long it took from it to get from one place to another. And you can also actually assign team members to work on or complete the stock transfers too. So that way, if you use our little team member assigned feature, they can get notified, and that way they know that there's some work to get done. So, as I had mentioned, you could just adjust your inventory levels at each location, but stock transfers actually give you a better understanding or reason why the level was adjusted and where that stock went to. If I go into the program right now and I just adjust my stock, unless I'm putting a remark on every single stock adjustment or anything, all I'm seeing is that I negative the inventory or positive kind of thing, and that's basically it. I don't know that it was going to another location or what reason that was actually done. I also don't have a trackable status when I'm doing that, so it would essentially just be one and done. As soon as you adjust it, it's gone. As soon as you adjust it, it's back in stock. And there's also less chance for human error with this. So when you're adjusting stock, unfortunately, if you're trying to take 10 out of here, put 5 into another location, 5 into another one or something, if you mistype one in there, tracking that down can be really, really difficult. So at least having a stock transfer, you can see, oh, from my main warehouse, I took 10 out, 5 were supposed to go here, 5 were supposed to go here. And then that way it's a lot less prone to human error. So just a couple quick things to keep in mind when you're doing stock transfers. While the stock transfers do change your inventory values, so again, you're subtracting from one and adding to another, it does not have a cost associated with them. So it's just going to continue over the cost that you already have on your product. There is no prices or anything associated with it, so you can't add extra costs or anything like that. And yeah, I guess that's kind of just the biggest thing to keep in mind, that it's not changing your cost values, it's just moving it from one location to another. While that stock is in transit, it's actually not counted as part of your on hand or available inventory. And I have one of our handy articles here that you can find on our knowledge base. What's the difference between quantity on hand? And so quantity on hand is actually the number that you physically have, including the quantity reserve. So these are things that you actually have like still in your warehouse and everything like that, but that has not been picked already on a sales order. The quantity picked is obviously the ones that have been on something like that, and then quantity reserved and quantity available is really the main one that we're looking at here. So this is how much of the product that you have left if you fulfill all your open sales orders. So quantity on hand minus quantity reserve. So in transit actually does adjust these so that you're not still seeing those values. And again, your team or anything like that is not still looking for that stock when it's on a truck or on a something else in transportation kind of thing. Another great thing to know is that the inventory movement details report can actually be filtered to show stock transfer send or stock transfer receives. This makes it easier that you can see all transfers to like a certain location during a certain time period or for a certain product or anything like that. So this is again just another way that it makes it easier for tracking any of those kinds of changes. Excuse me, sorry, got a tickle in my throat. Now, as I said, we kind of wanted to point it out today, the differences between the desktop and our web app and our mobile app. Again, the web app and the mobile app used to have less functions than the desktop version did, than our Windows one did. And while they've come a long way, there is still a little bit of a difference. So our Windows app, you do have a specific product picker where you can pick by all one location or sub-location. Whereas on the web app, you can't do that, unfortunately, but you do get in your product picker like just a big list of your items that you can filter, you can search down, and you can just pick multiple at a time, which is a little bit different, and I can show that when we get to the demo. Also, the web and mobile have a new filtered list. So this is actually, you've got a couple kind of views that you can see. So you can actually just get a current view and an assigned view right away that lets you see only the open stuff that you need to work on if you're not actually looking for all your past like fulfilled orders and stuff like that.
That's also a really good point, because if you don't have the correct filter on, it may look like you don't have any previous historical stock transfers. So just make sure to change the filter if you're trying to find something historically.
Yeah, and we can show that in just a second. Thank you, Cassia. And so yeah, so I see Katya had already posted one in there at least, but so all of this we do have on our knowledge base that you can actually find. Again, that we have an article also how to transfer stock between locations, which since I have it, I can paste it in here too.
Perfect. I was just about to look for it.
And this one is just like a more basic one that'll go over what I'm going to show in the demo of how you can actually transfer. But this goes over the steps for both our desktop, our web, and our mobile app. So that way you can easily reference it if you forget or have any questions about that. And then I had mentioned reordering before. So again, normally when I'm thinking of stock transfers, I'm thinking of sending something from my warehouse to a store or from one store to another or something like that. So how does it come into play with reordering? Well, I've actually had on a call yesterday, actually. It was pretty interesting, but I was talking to a customer where basically they only order all their stock, excuse me, to one central warehouse. They've got many, many stores all across the country, but essentially all their stock gets ordered and they make all their POs for their one warehouse. And then essentially they need to send out stock from that warehouse to all their stores whenever they need it. Thankfully, in inFlow with reorder settings, you can actually choose to, instead of make like a purchase order when you need to reorder, to create a stock transfer, and you can choose what location from. So you can actually set up inFlow to automatically alert you when you hit that threshold to create a stock transfer from your warehouse to another location. That way, you're actually just using kind of like your own internal supply of items or products or whatever you have, rather than having to create POs all the time.
This can also be good if you are working, let's say, with job sites and you have multiple trucks. And so sometimes it's good to even set that up in the reorder settings so that you know what needs to go into the truck to keep it filled with all the products that you need for the day. So that's another kind of use case that I've seen.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I could definitely see how that'd be useful. And I see Eric actually saying that he used that feature and that it works great. So thank you very much. It's good to hear. Oh, and Patrice is saying it'll be helpful for us. We have one main warehouse and anywhere from 10 to 18 pop-up stores during the winter season. So yeah, there you go. Again, that being able to set it up that way might make it a little bit easier, hopefully. So yeah, so we can jump into a demo now and show off how this all works. Oh, actually, sorry, before I do that, we do have also an article on how you can set up like your reorder points. And this does also talk about that you can use stock transfers and stuff too. So I'll just post that link in here as well in case you need to take a look at it in the future. Okay. So this is actually our Windows desktop app. I'll start on here, and then we can switch over to the web and the mobile in just a minute. If you haven't used this before, this is it is available only on Windows computers, but essentially, if you just go to inflowinventory.com/download, you can download this. This is kind of like the legacy program. This looks a lot like what our older on-premise software did, and while it can do pretty much everything, we have been building up the web version to have more and more features, so that like other people on like Mac and Linux and things like that can do everything as well too. So yeah, stock transfers. In the Windows app, all you have to do is you go to the menu up here under inventory and then to transfer stock. Right from here, you'll actually see, so you've got a full list here where you can search and you can see any previous stock transfers. As you can see on here, I've got 3. You can customize or filter or change like what columns you see of information here by right clicking on the top header, and then you can check or uncheck any fields that you want to see them. You can also change what fields you're filtering from by clicking on any of these on the side here, and you can actually change it like to something else depending on what you're looking for. But if we just go back in stock, this is where you would actually be creating one. All of your stock transfers, again, because it's not dealing with new product, you always have to select the location that it's coming from. So here I've got a list of my locations already, and then what location it's going to. So in this case, I could go from my warehouse to, let's say, my store number 11 in Dundas. You can set up to, I believe it's 10 custom fields. Excuse me, sorry. 10 custom fields on the program itself that you can have show up on here, which you just do through the settings. So menu option settings and custom fields. And it should be under adjustment.
Yeah.
There we go. So stock transfer, I've got 3 set up on here, but you could add extra if you needed. And then right here, it's just like any other order. It'll automatically create a transfer number when you save it. You've got your starting date, and it'll show the status. And again, you can also assign somebody to the stock transfer if you want. Now, this is where one of our differences comes in, and what I was mentioning before. On the desktop app, we have this little button down here at the bottom where you can actually add products by, it may be hard to see, but it's either by location or by sublocation if you click it. So if I click location, it's actually going to add all the products that I have from in this from location. So right now I've got basically all my products in the warehouse. So I don't have a ton in this database because I just set this up for the webinar today. You probably would have a lot more products. So this can be helpful if you need to do like a very large transfer or something like that. But again, adding everything by one location might be a bit overwhelming. You may have to take some off. So you can optionally choose to do that. I can also delete some of these. So let's just say I don't need any of these ones. You can also, if you click into any of the name field here, you can then search and choose any of the products like normal. So let's just say I want to transfer 2 of these, 5 of these, and 5 of these. So some flowers, some chocolates, and some Rockstar because you need energy on Valentine's Day too. Once you've got that all set, you hit save, creates your stock transfer. And then you can actually, you have the option on here to send or receive. Sending is normally the main process for it. And then what, again, kind of going back to what we've said before, so you can see the status now on the stock transfer is in transit. If I view the product, so we can see how much stock I have, but if I look under here, I can actually see that my quantity on transit is now actually 5, and that's how much I have on this stock transfer. So if I go back and let's just say unsend this for a quick thing, and I'll save it and just refresh this, my quantity on hand and my quantity available has now gone back up that 5, and that quantity in transit has gone back to 0. So again, just kind of showing this does affect the quantity on hand and the quantity available. So again, a lot of times I would assume that when you're sending something, it doesn't get there instantly. So that way, it's taking it out of your stock while it is in transit. Essentially, yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say this is also a very good point, just because if you ever feel like you have a discrepancy between your quantities, check to see if you have any open stock transfers that haven't been received or, sent received, so that could explain that specific difference between your quantities and locations.
For sure. And if you are using the Windows app, one cool thing that actually has helped me a lot of times in support, if you hover your mouse over the different quantities on here, it'll actually give you a kind of like little blurb telling you what makes up those quantities. And usually, so like this is saying like reserved could be sales orders or work orders. So again, kind of just reminding you where to check that you might have those open orders or anything like that. But yeah, so once let's just say a couple days has gone by or anything like that, and at your other location things have actually come in, when you hit receive transfer, it'll mark this as complete. The status gets updated as completed. And if we look back at our product, so the quantity in transit goes back out, the quantity on hand and everything is adjusted again. But now when I look at my actual inventory, I've got 15 in my warehouse and 5 in my store number 11 Dundas. We very handy thing with these two is that this does show under the movement history. So again, talking back to that tracking of your stock transfers, if you go to your movement history tab, you can actually see that the stock transfer was sent today, obviously, and that it was also received today. We can see the time difference, so there was a minute in between. But what's more helpful probably is that you can see, so it was sent from the warehouse location, which had 20, took away 5, and that when it was received at store 11, it had 0 and then added 5. So again, kind of just gives you a little bit more of that visibility that you can track it and see those things a little bit easier. Just seeing if there's any questions. I see Joe saying that Add products by drop down is grayed out for him.
Could it possibly, just a quick question, Joe, are you looking at a brand new stock transfer or an existing one that may have been started? Because if it has been started, I believe it grays out. Oh no, it's brand new. I wonder if it could be the settings somehow and like restrict access.
It's definitely
Maybe.
possible. And I mean, if it doesn't, brand new, he's an admin. Yeah, I mean, we can definitely take a look. I would definitely reach out to our support team. Just you can email us support@inflowinventory.com. That'll come straight to us, and we can definitely take a look into that more offline. Cool. So now just quickly taking a look at that again in our web app. So the web app you get to just by going to app.inflowinventory.com. You log in with the exact same account, just like the desktop. And from here, again, we kind of want to highlight that we have updated and now given all these features back to the stock transfer because originally you couldn't do them in the web app. So under inventory, here we have stock transfer list or new stock transfer, or you can get to it from the menu on the top left where you can choose new stock transfer or stock transfer list. And if I click on the list, this is where those different views that we were talking about actually comes into play. So up here, you can actually see we have three little almost like tabs that you can see when I hover over it, you get the little highlight. These are not available on the desktop. The desktop, you only have this one list view, which again, you can filter to get the same kind of information, but they're not kind of like pre-done for you. So here you have current, which I believe is the one that will show up by default. And this is only going to show your open stock transfer. So if I look back here, today's one that we did was stock transfer 4. I'm not actually seeing it on here. I can, if I want, go to all, and then I will see all of my stock transfers that were here before. But again, usually you would think that you're probably looking for something that you can actually action on, not the old ones all the time. So this hopefully makes that a little bit faster.
Just a question for you, Phil. Just something that I feel like comes up sometimes. The assign to you tag or tab, does that include both open and closed orders?
We can take a look. So when I click on assign to you, I am seeing both the completed and the open one. So this will show both. Again, you can change. We do have filters on the web as well too. So like you can change your statuses to include or hide any of those kinds of things. You can also add in other filters if you need, like receive date or requested date, any of those kinds of different fields as well. And then again, you've got your all view where you're seeing everything. And the little assigned to, you can see by the little icon. So 2 of those were assigned to me. And then if you had, you can filter by that as well too. So these 2 would be then very similar.
Yeah. And that's really helpful, especially if you have someone that's in charge of the inventory at a different location. So at the location that you're sending to, you can assign it to them so that they can see and track that order to see if it's come in yet to the new location or not. And so it's just an easy way to make sure people are, aware of what's happening between locations. And just one other fact to keep in mind, when you assign people, these have to be users on inFlow. So all the users that you have on your account, you can assign those people. You wouldn't be able to just add any name onto the assigned to field.
Yeah, so they have to be a team member under your actual like subscription kind of thing that you can then choose. So if I only have the one on this one, but if I had multiple, then I'd be able to choose between those. And then going back to Katya's about them like kind of knowing about it and assigning to them, they do have an option if you go into your set or your personal settings by clicking your email, clicking personal, under notification settings here, you can turn on or off where you can actually get an email alert when like an order or something like that is assigned to you. So that way it's a little more visible. And again, if you're off doing something else, then they would hopefully know that they got assigned to do like a stock transfer or something like that. So yeah, so we'll take a quick look at here. So the interface does look a little different on here if we are making a stock transfer. So I hit new transfer there. Essentially what we're doing, we've got these lovely graphics that our marketing team has designed for all these, that you see all your existing, or like your from locations, sorry, on the left hand side, and this would be your to locations. So you can kind of see the little gray bar going down from it. So again, if I wanted to make one from the warehouse, but this time to my Mavis store, I would just click those two. And you'll see right here on the stock transfer itself, again, you can see this is where like it's starting. This is going to be its in transit here in the middle, and that's where it's ending up. You will again have all those custom fields. You'll get that stock transfer number, and again, you can assign people to it, as well as your remarks. And then adding the products, as I said, we don't have that little button to add all by location or anything, but you have the full product list when you click add. This will actually show you your quantities that you have in that location. So this is going to be based off of the location you have set up there. And that way you can actually just, if you click once, it'll add one in there. You can then go and adjust the quantity there, or you can click multiple times and it's going to keep increasing it. And so you can easily, quickly do multiple products this way. So we'll just do, we'll change it up. We'll do 10 and 5. If you did have sublocations, you can set those on here as well too. So from sublocations and to sublocations. So you've still got all that functionality on here. We hit send. It's now going to update. You're going to have that in transit status here. Again, here it's nice that you can actually see the creation date, the in transit date, and then once you receive it, you'll see the receive date as well. This again will have updated now that we're in transit, these products quantities to in transit, which I can pull up here. I'm just going to my product list, pulling up one of those products. So I can see now that I've got 10 in transit for this product. And if I receive it, just refresh. Bam. There we go. So my in transit has changed. I've now got my stock updated in both my stores. So 2 of my 3 stores now have stock of this that they can go and sell. And recently we've also added order history and movement history to your products in the web app as well. So this is another very handy feature that is now available that you can see. So again, if we check out this movement history, I can actually see that I had stock transfers done for these. Anytime you see this little box with an arrow icon kind of pointing up, this actually means that it's clickable and it'll open up that item for you. So this is opening up that stock transfer if I needed to check it. And then I can see again that same stuff. So stock transfer was sent from my warehouse. It was received at the store. I've got the change in quantities. And again, kind of another nifty little thing that that they cooked up for this is that if you hover your mouse over any of these numbers, it'll actually pop up and show you that quantity change. So it'll show you the initial quantity you had, how much it changed by, and then what that final value is. So you can do that with any of these on here. That works again for like purchase orders and sales orders, everything like that too. So you do have all that available.
Now, we did have a question from Heidi, and I was actually going to ask you to do this as well. I know you don't have sublocations tracked right now in your database, but would you be able to do an example of if someone's looking to transfer from one sublocation in the warehouse to another sublocation instead of between main locations?
Sure. Let me actually, do I have? Let me just do a quick PO to kind of create some sublocations on here. Or actually, I can do it here. Let's just do warehouse, edit sublocations. Oh, actually, so I do have a few in the warehouse. And let's just go to this. So right now, let's say for bouquet, sorry, somebody's calling my house. For bouquet of flowers right now, I've got only 5 in my warehouse. It's not under a sublocation. So if I wanted to transfer that, I will do a new stock transfer. I'm going from my warehouse to my warehouse. So the end and the start and the end are the same. I'll add on that product. So my bouquet of flowers, let's just say I'm transferring 3. I can actually say from which sublocation. Now, right now, I don't have stock in any of those ones, but I can also choose what sublocation I want it to go to. So I could go to, say, bin 2. When I hit send and receive, then it should update. There we go. So I still have 5 in my warehouse, but 2 are under my blank sublocation and 3 are under my bin B2. Does that help?
So wait to see if Heidi responds, but I'm assuming, again, in your specific scenario, you would just enter a from location. Obviously, Phil just didn't have any sublocations or quantity in those sublocations yet, but in your specific scenario, put the from, then add the to sublocation, and then it'll do the transfer between those specific locations in the main warehouse.
Cool. I see Shondell also had a question. When doing a sales order, does it pull from quantity on hand or just stock transfer? James was nice and answered in here too that a sales order will take stock from your available quantity. A pending stock transfer will take from the available and put it into in transit. And then once you receive it, it takes it back out of in transit and it'll put it back into the available. So hopefully that helps. Cool.
And Heidi said thank you. Yes, she'll try this.
Oh, cool. There we go.
That's great. Now let us know.
Salma, I think, was saying, is there a possibility of generating a picking slip or checking slip with stock transfer? Ooh, that is actually a good question. So let me undo this one just so that we have it still in. Sorry, I'm going to send it so that it's in process. It's saved. If I click print on here, it's going to print out just like a basic stock transfer. I believe on our desktop app, it is the same.
Yeah, it is.
So it gives you a printable, essentially like list that you can see. So how much it is, it would show the from location and the to location if you filled that in as well. So you can print out like a list, I guess, that way, both on the web or on the desktop app.
And just to answer Shandell's question, if you do a sales order and a stock transfer, those are kind of 2 different actions. The sales order is pulling the item completely out of inFlow. Again, if you're selling it or using it on a job site, let's say, the stock transfer is moving between your locations that you have set up in inFlow. So you're not actually taking it out of inventory at that point, you're just moving it around. Whereas again, the sales order pulls it out. So in most cases, if you don't have enough stock for your sales order in the location that you actually want to pull from, then you would do the stock transfer from your location that has the inventory to the location that you're going to be selling from. And then you would pull a sales order to actually take it out of that specific location and, sell it to a customer. I believe that explains it.
And so quickly, I'll just show on here. So this is mirroring my my phone with the mobile app on here. We do also have the stock transfers in here. So just so you can quickly see, it's very similar to the web app functionality. It's just kind of laid out a little bit differently because it's on a mobile phone, of course. You don't have as much space. So right from the home page, you have this option under inventory, stock transfers. When you click on that, it'll bring you right to your stock transfer list that you can check any of, again, like you've got your in transit, your open. Again, this is kind of filtered automatically to exclude the completed ones by default. You do have a filter option down here at the bottom. So when I click that, you can actually then go through. It even actually says right on here, completed, hidden by default, as well as canceled. So if I select this and say, hit apply, then I'll be able to actually see the completed ones as well, except that I only selected completed. So there we go. Sorry, if I select all 3, there we go. Now I'm seeing all my stock transfers. in the filter, you can also filter by your locations. You can filter by the request sent or received date, or again, assigned to. So again, if you're looking for only like ones assigned to you or to one specific person, you can easily do that. And then when you go into a stock transfer, again, it's going to look, this is very similar to the web app. You have the starting location, the in transit, and the ending location. You've got your products that you've added on here. If you click this little info tab, that's where you'll see kind of everything else written out. So if you have your custom fields on there or remarks, you can add or edit them there. You can see the locations. And then through here, you can actually email it if you wanted. So it would make like a small little email that you can send asking the person to look at this in inFlow. Same with like the share option on there. You can cancel the transfer. You can undo it just like on the main programs, or you can receive it as well. And that will then update it now. So it'll have updated those products and their locations and stuff also.
Perfect. Yeah, and again, if you have the smart scanner, it's essentially the same program on the scanner. Again, the helpful part of having a scanner is if you have a warehouse and you don't want your staff using their phones, you'd prefer that they have a separate work device that they're using. Smart scanner is great for that, as Phil is showing, and especially because when you have the mobile app on the smart scanner, you can scan your products in, so without having to search for them, it's great because you can do it really quickly, add it to the stock transfer, and then send it on its way.
Yep. Oh, look at that. And Donald's saying he highly recommends the scanner, so thank you. Yeah, I guess the last thing, sorry, I'll quickly just show. And again, if you have any other questions, you can definitely toss them into the chat. But we've got the inventory movement details report. So if you go to it in the desktop program, it's pretty easy to find. You go reports, all reports, and under inventory movement details. In our web app, we do have it organized a little bit differently. So when you go to the report section under audit log, under audit log, you'll have inventory movement log, and here you can choose details. This would be the same report, but basically on here, you can select the transaction type. And so in this case, we'd be looking at stock transfer send or stock transfer receive. So you can add those two on there. And then you can choose a date for it that when it's happened. On the desktop app, this should be coming to the web app hopefully in the near future. But you can actually select only specific products if you want to report on. Again, you can set your team member or location or anything like that. And then once you generate it, it's going to show, so you can see all your sends or your receives. It'll tell you how much and what stock transfer it was all done at, as well as like the locations and the sub locations. So it's kind of giving you that that information at an easy glance that you can then take a look at. Oops, I didn't filter this one. So it's going to show everything. But if I go back, transaction types, stock transfer send, and stock transfer receive, then we will be able to see them all right on here. And so, yeah,
And then,
so we can see like all those ones that we had just done today. Sorry, Kat, go right ahead.
sorry, I was just going to say, on our desktop app, when you're clicking through it, I don't know if anyone else saw, but we also have the stock transfer report as well, which is, I believe it shows essentially the same thing, just at the very bottom, that you can kind of create the filters for, and I believe the columns are basically the same. The good thing about the inventory movement details report that Phil is showing is the fact that you don't just have to have stock transfers in here. You can have, multiple different movements. So if you're looking at multiple different things at once, the inventory movement details is the report to kind of go with. And just to kind of touch on what Thelma had asked, because she wants to print off like a checklist. So if you don't like the look of the list that gets sent from the stock transfer page, like the one that you can print, you can also maybe run a specific report for that transaction and then print that out as well. Not sure if that would be helpful.
Yeah, you could definitely do that. I think the other thing too, like if you were, if I go back to it, so our stock transfer. I doing? Excuse me, sorry about that. When you do with pretty much any of our documents, when you bring it up to print, if you click the Save As button, you can also get like you can save it as like an Excel file or Excel raw text, or sorry, raw data file. In which case, then like the rows and stuff like that would then be in Excel, so you could easily kind of like copy and paste them into something else if that's easier or more presentable, I guess, kind of thing too. So you might be able to just use the data in another way.
Will inFlow allow you to go into negative inventory when using a stock transfer? It's a great
That's a
question.
good question. So it will. You do actually get like a notice on here. So if I go back to my warehouse, I know we're getting low on stock of my bouquet. If I click on the quantity here, so it's actually going to show me I've got 5 on hand, only 1 available, and 4 of them are already reserved. So basically, this, as long as I change this to any number, I believe. I guess if we go over. Oh, there we go. So from nothing, we're going to there. Sending it to there. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So it pops up with a little error saying that the product is at location warehouse is going to go into negative inventory, and I have the choice of either choosing to proceed or not. If I hit cancel, it's not going to send that stock transfer. If I do hit proceed, then it will. It'll let me receive it, and when I go and take a look at that product now, I'm going to have, so I've got negative now in my warehouse because now that stock has been moved over there. So we don't recommend having negative quantities for your products. I mean, in an inventory sense, I guess it doesn't really make sense usually to have, you can't really have negative of your item. But also just from the program side of things, it's not designed, I guess, to work super well with negative numbers. It'll allow it and everything, but it does make the calculations a little more complex, and it can slow down the system a little bit if you have a lot of negative inventory. So yeah, that's why we will pop up with like a little warning or anything to give you that chance to hopefully fix it.
Thank you, Phil, for showing that.
Yeah, no problem. I was just taking a look if any other questions. I see Besarath had asked, how can a customer go online and see their order history, which James was replying to. Unfortunately, we don't have a feature for customers to see their order history yet. I would assume that would be talking for like Showroom, one of our features. So that definitely is a great idea. So we'll submit that as like feedback or like a feature request that maybe we can create that in the future.
And then for Eric's, he was just kind of suggesting an idea of having an easy way to make a shipping label from stock transfer. And obviously that's kind of referring to the fact that we have easy post for sales orders. You know, it'd be really great if we could kind of have a similar connection for the stock transfers. And I know it's something that Eric and I have talked about as well in the past, but it's just to, I guess, posting it is just to see if other people are interested in that, just to gain some momentum. And so if anyone else is kind of interested in that feature, please email us so that we can record your email for that feedback request, because we keep track of all of that. So that kind of collects all the votes and pushes things up in possible features that we can roll out in the future.
Yeah, no, that's great. We definitely, anytime anyone writes in with any feedback or suggestions or anything like that, we record it all. We share it with everybody on our team, and we do kind of try and it's the old saying, like the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? So usually things that more people either want or it would improve, I guess, like the system for more people will usually get done faster if we're able to, and it makes sense for the business. So, so yeah, definitely anytime if you have a question or feedback or something like that about that, you can send them to us just through email at support@inflowinventory.com. And again, we do record all those and keep that. And the higher ups and everything use that in their decision making when looking over that kind of stuff.
Which apparently, I just found out yesterday, we have about 600 unique requests for different features. So that's just a number that I found. So a lot of different ideas for sure, and it's obviously hard for them to create everything. So the more votes we get for the same kind of feature, again, the more likely it is to actually get created.
Cool. But yeah, I see a couple other. Patrice was asking, like, are we looking into doing drop downs for color and sizes? And James was saying that's definitely a popular request and it's being looked into. We do have a public roadmap that we have posted up. James has put a link to it as well. Actually, I guess I can open it too. So on here, we actually have a list of some of the ones that we have under consideration, things that we have planned. So the stuff under planned is generally things that are kind of like being actively worked on and then launched. So a list of some of the things that we have released from here. And you can click on them and you can like upvote it and stuff like that too on like whether it's just like a nice feature or if it's like critical to your business or something like that. And again, they do take this into consideration as well. So definitely stop by that, and you can always take a look at it every once in a while if you want to kind of keep on top of what might be coming soon with inFlow.
Yeah, thank you for showing that. I know a lot of people usually ask about, if I suggest a feature, where does it go? What happens to it? So, yeah, definitely if it's something that's very popular and more likely to be at the top of the list, it's usually in the under consideration tab.
Victoria, I do see you had a question in there. Sorry, can the customer copy a previous sales order? You definitely can in any of our versions of the program. If you just go into a sales order and you click on it, in the web, in the web, it's actually just right here, copy order here at the top. That will just copy it into all the information into a new sales order. And as soon as you hit save, it'll create the new sales order number for it. And again, obviously, if you need to change any information, then you definitely can. One kind of pro tip or cool thing that I know I've seen a lot of people do is if you have like a lot of orders that you repeat, I guess, then you can actually create like a sales order, call it like a template or something, add all the products that you normally have, and then just use that one, go back to it each time, hit copy. You'll now have all those products automatically added, and then you can change like the customer or any other little details or something like that. So that way you can easily get that.
I know that's a great suggestion. I've seen a lot of people use that one.
And that does work for like purchase orders and everything like that too. So cool.
And yeah, if you guys have any specific technical questions or issues, please don't hesitate to reach out to support either via chats or just by email, because it'll be helpful for someone on the support team just to take a deeper dive into what's going on.
And I do want to give a
thank you again, everyone, for joining. Thank you, James, for moderating as well.
Yes, thank you very
We
much and for
appreciate
staying
that.
on top of all that. And hopefully everyone has a fantastic rest of their day and a fantastic Valentine's Day. Again, I hope somebody spoils you.
Thank you,
All right.
guys. Have a
Take
great
care.
day. See ya.